turn it over to Sheldon and Nelly.
Sure. So thanks for being here, everyone. This is going to be similar, but shortcut down a little bit if you have watched the presentation that we made for the faculty workshops, whether adjunct or full-time. This is just sort of a tightened down version of that, so if there's time, we can have sort of more questions and more discussion.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and get started and just briefly cover what we've discussed in the PowerPoint, and then we'll open it up to any questions or comments that you may have regarding the next steps.
Nelly, do you want me to just go through this, or do you want to do it the same way as we did before? Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I just sent you a text. I was going to say, you want to do it the same way we did it before? I'll go ahead and start.
Sure,
so we're the Pillar 1. Okay. We are the Pillar 1 mapping work group, and we took a lot of our research based off of different areas, including the Community College Research Center, which is housed at Columbia University. And there's a lot of literature. If you look up Davis Jenkins, him and his team really talk and dive into the guided pathways and how it relates to community colleges in the nation. Also, the paradox of choice is mentioned as one of the theories to look into. Less options will clarify the path for students. We want to make it easy for them. And that is part of the first pillar, as you can see, clarifying the path. Our work group is consisted of quite a variety of individuals, including both faculty from different areas, as well as student-facing services. And you can see that already listed on there. Next. So the timeline, we started working on this. We started meeting as of last fall 2019, but we really dived into this particular work group in spring 2020. We started first by identifying some guiding principles, which we will identify in a minute. We also actually, Shelly sent out a message with those guiding principles, so you can dive into them more deeper. But the guiding principles are just based on recommendations from the coaches that we have. And also based on things that we wanted to make our decisions when creating some of these maps. And so you'll see that the transfer maps were created in the spring, and over the summer we really focused on the associate and applied science degrees along with the certificates. Some of the research that we conducted was based on top transfer destinations, current transfer agreements, and transfer guides, which can be found on our website as well as on Transferology and iTransfer. The top transfer destinations were usually either UIC, Northeastern, Governor State, Elmhurst, Dominican. Those are some of the top transfer destinations. However, it did not only limit it to those options, because there are some very specific degrees that are only offered at certain institutions, and so we took that into consideration. Now we're actually in the fall 2020, where we are vetting with faculty. So that arrow should be moved down. So we've gotten to the point where either this week or last week, you should have received these maps and the vetting process will begin. I know that some of you have already requested time to meet with Sheldon, myself, and the group. And we're currently looking at all of the feedback and thinking of when we can meet with everyone. So thank you for those of you who have already started commenting on your thoughts with the work we've done. So these are the guiding principles. Again, these were sent to you in the initial email. Most of it is around, for example, you'll see that the general education courses, we always stick with the IEI, making sure that they are transferable. Also, even for course electives, we mark certain ones that should be prescribed based on top transfer destinations. The College 102 course is always something that we recommend. As you can see probably in the developmental education box, for those that received only the AAS, you may not see this because you didn't actually see the way of the map is going to be to look, but we can show you that in the next steps where Sheldon is going to go over how it will look physically. And this is just based on board policy. We want students to explore more with this course. We also incorporated major courses within the first semester. For example, a chemistry student should start with a chemistry class. A criminal justice student should start with a criminal justice course. Obviously based on prerequisites too, making sure that they meet those. And then we talked about the transfer being based off of the top transfer destinations. And we also looked at how often courses were taught, when they were taught, and made some recommendations there. So as again, mentioning the process of the work, we did a lot of research prior to creating some of these guides. We got our research from the National Student Clearinghouse that talks to our institutional research area. We also looked at transferology, the transfer guides and partnerships, the coaches' recommendations. We benchmarked with other community colleges. Two in particular that we always look at are Harper College and Alamo College, Miami-Dade, and also City Colleges of Chicago. Some of these institutions received high remarks at the Achieving the Dream Conference for all of their hard work in the guided pathways process. And we also conducted student focus groups to see what they thought about the usability of the maps. And I'll go ahead and let Sheldon.
Sure. Thank you, Nelly. So you can see if you've seen the maps, or after this, once you start to see the maps, you can sort of get an idea of like the amount of research that went into them. Now, they might end up looking similar or different to what's already out there. But one of the biggest things with guided pathways, especially these maps, is that it's student facing. That anything we're producing, anything that we're, that's out there for students to work with and see and help them get through college needs to be usable and make the most sense for them. So even if it's something that as faculty or staff makes sense to us, we got to make sure that it works for the students. So we are conducted some student focus groups, and you can see the way we've created these. The example I'm going to show you of a map in just the next slide. Students overall really liked it. They found it was very easy to navigate. They thought it's very straightforward. So again, these are all student words that I think show that we're on the right track of this. And even since these interviews, we've made a bunch of changes, and it's getting cleaned and tightened up. But it's the research as well as the usability that go into creating these maps. So let me give you a little snapshot of what they look like. So the maps that were sent out to faculty over the past week, and the departments and chairs and coordinators, don't look necessarily like this. You sort of have the template, like the page without the color and the font and the thing, but it's like the information that would be going onto this map. So some important pieces, we're really trying to brand our new areas of study. So all the programs on campus are broken up into these 7 areas of study. And so, those will all have sort of the same color, same iconography. And again, the general idea between these is a student might not know exactly what degree they're going for, but they might have a general idea of what side they're, right? So arts, humanities, and social sciences, most of these degrees are going to have at least some things in common. And so for cohort building and students figuring out what they want to be, they're sort of lumped together. Then we have, these sort of simple descriptions of what kind of, your potential next steps in your education or in your career might be for taking this pathway, aligning it with what's in the current programs, those sort of things. And then down here, and this part is one of the things that already has changed based on conversations with advisors and students. This is no longer here. This has sort of been turned into a footnote later on. But overall, you can see in this, there's some things that have been fixed here, that kind of thing. But having a tool for students to see where they come in, math placement, where they come in, their English placement, reminding them about this college course. If there's any other sort of, one of the things I know some departments are creating are these sort of preview courses, the exploration courses within an area of study or within a degree, that can go here as well. So that's sort of the front beginning of it. The idea is most of these should fit on 1 to 2 pages, depending on the degree. And this is the majority, the bulk of a map. So again, if you've looked at a map that was sent out to you recently, it wasn't look exactly like this, but it should be sort of getting closer to here. We've also filled out all these next step areas with things like when to meet with advisors, when to apply for certain things, just a lot of information to help the students make sure semester by semester they're on the right spot. And so here you can see where the types of things that come in, trying to keep this very simplistic. If you've tried going through the catalog, right, there's all these different things to keep track of. You need this kind of gen ed and this kind of gen ed. You need to make sure you have human diversity. You need to make sure you have all this. So we're trying to make that more clear and just have it more usable. It's not that we're picking every single class for students. You can see here, this particular one is speech communication. So it doesn't really matter which social behavioral science they take. For this particular degree, based on our research, there's a lot of options. So they can just take a class from that category. And then because these could be posted online, these will have live links and that kind of stuff to them. You know, we recommend the mathematics courses that they want to get to. Now, for this particular one, for their fine arts general education requirement, there is a class that seems to be common at all these different transfer institutions or with our transfer guides, that kind of thing. So we went ahead and sort of chose one to put in here. Now, obviously, working with an advisor or a transfer specialist or anyone else, they could change this, but if they follow this, they'll be, you know, more likely to succeed, more likely to get everything transferring. Then we give spaces where, okay, pick a class from your program objectives. I'll show you at the end what that sort of looks like. Again, so some things are chosen, some things are not chosen, just depending on that degree and what the research showed. And then at the end, they get this box of program electives that they can sort of keep track of which ones they've taken or might still want to take. So that's where up in the map where it says like, okay, take a program elective, they can go look down here and see, okay, I'm going to take one of these. For some degrees, the program electives have a lot of prereqs and sort of there's a really particular order, especially in like, let's say the sciences where like you need this physics, this math before this physics that you need before this physics and so on. And so in that case, we actually will recommend in the map itself, semester by semester, which program electives they take, but it's still clearly laid out here at the end as sort of this checklist. And then we see just other footnotes that are relevant for that particular degree or further gen eds, that kind of thing. So this is sort of how they all will eventually look. So again, it doesn't matter which program a student chooses on campus, they're going to get a nice map like this will be available to them on the website eventually. But what we're doing now is making sure these are right. Do we, you know, we did our best to choose the classes based on the research, but maybe there's things about your particular discipline or department that we missed. We didn't quite know because we don't have that expertise on every single discipline. So that's what the faculty vetting is all about, is to make sure these are as useful and as correct and accurate as possible. But they might be very different than what's currently in the catalog. They might be very, very similar. The other difference, I don't have an example here. If you have certificates, they're obviously very short. Might only be 1 or 2 semesters. But for the applied science degrees that have a bunch of certificates that are sort of related, we've also created, there's more columns on this map that will sort of show you which classes to take that will help you get certificates, stack your certificates while getting to the degree. So again, to help students sort of choose which electives to take in order to get, you know, as many sort of certifications along the way towards getting their applied degree. So again, we've sort of, I think Nelly covered a lot of this where we are. We just sent out all the maps to every sort of chair and coordinator and liaison for different areas. So if you haven't been contacted, either you were contacted directly or you may be contacted by your chair or coordinator. We're hoping to have by the following Friday to get these 3 responses back, which extends sort of like, okay, check over the map that we sent you. Is there problems with it? Are there things we should add, change? Or is there so much to go on, we really need to have like a person-to-person discussion? In which case, we'll be meeting with you over the coming next 2 months over September and November. And our goal, if we can get with every faculty group and get feedback and get this figured out, is to have all these done by the end of November so we can push them through curriculum and actually have these then be reflected in next year, so we can put them up on the website, we can make them official, so students could start using them, sometime in 2021. That's our current working goal. So I think that's the majority of what we have. So we have examples. We can other examples we can show up, or we can answer questions if you've seen yours. But we still got about some time if you guys have questions or thoughts or anything you want to know about this mapping process or the research behind it, anything like that.
Sheldon, could you maybe show the AAS stacking? I just sent you the
Sure.
one that we received from marketing, just so that you can see visually what the
Yeah.
AAS looks like with the stacking of certificates, because you only saw AA or an AS right now. And those do look a little different.
Yes, thank you.
And the stacking is something that I think will really help students see the many things that they can earn along the way.
So here's the mechatronics AAS, Applied Associate's Degree. And you can see on this one, now there are other engineering technology certificates, but these are the ones we put on here because they can be completely achieved within this degree if you take the right classes. Where the other ones might add on an extra semester or something in order to get them. And so you can see here, like if you're getting this mechatronics degree, you can also you're basically going to get a mechatronics certificate because of these classes that have check marks on them. So these ones count towards the CAD certificate. And then here's a good example. There's a typo here. I think that's like 285 or something like that. But basically they take two, if they choose from the program electives, these two, then they're going to also get the CAD certificate. Now they could decide to go towards a different certificate and take different program electives. But we're sort of, again, helping them guide to get as many credentials as they can in the shortest amount of time possible. So again, here's like what those different ones would be. Yeah, it should be, I think it's this 280 is what those should be. So if they take those two instead of these ones for their program electives, they'll get a CAD certificate along with their degree. So again, this is what we're doing for every single program. The certificates are much shorter. Here's like what the cert looks like. So you can see it's just 2 semesters, take these 6 classes. See, Lisa had raised her hand. Lisa Moss.
Hi, I do have a couple questions. I was looking through the map, and I have no prerequisites for the ophthalmic tech program, and I commonly refer to myself as poaching students from radiology and nuclear medicine and diagnostic, the DMS program, diagnostic medical sonography. And those students have taken higher level courses than I need. So I'm wondering if maybe in my curriculum, I should just change my curriculum and my requirements to include the higher level, like the higher level anatomy and physiology, the higher level medical terminology. That way they don't have to petition for that, and it's one less step that they have to do if they're coming from another program that they didn't happen to make it in for, but they had taken those prerequisites. Another thing that I noticed when I was looking at it and you were talking was Katie Rulo and I a couple years ago had worked on the optician program for her continuing education, and it uses our ophthalmic lab it did use our ophthalmic lab at night. Now it's remote. But I'm wondering if I can add that as well for a certificate to my ophthalmic students, so they know that while they're doing this or before or after or while they're waiting, they could take this optician program or this optician certificate class that's offered at night through continuing education.
Yeah, so I think the continuing education, we've actually been talking about that a lot recently. But the first question was sort of about like, what should you change your program, that kind of thing. Am I correct? Is it a AAS Just trying to keep all of the program.
Yeah, it's in applied science.
Okay. So, that's sort of, that's one of the nice things, because we are sort of opening up the curriculum by doing these maps. If there are changes that you think would be more useful for students, this is a great time to do it, right? Since we're going to be sort of trying to put all these maps through curriculum anyway, let's change them now. It's really up to, I know a lot of the AASs have like, if there's any external credentialing or anything like that, you have to be mindful there of, are you meeting at all? But if you have the ability to change certain things about the program, I think it's going to come up to like the feedback you've gotten from students or what you think's better for them. I mean, maybe it'll be easier to add in these higher level courses, but if you think that might push some students out that weren't going to get to those courses or didn't get to those courses, then, there might be a balance. There is the option of having like either ors, for certain parts where it's like, take this class or this class. So maybe you could have the lower level class or the upper level class.
Well, that's currently I do have the lower level course, but some of the students take a higher level course because they wanted to get into a different program. And we just petition it and we just say, please accept the higher level course in lieu of the lower level course. So I didn't know if that's something that needed to be included in that. So if somebody did go for a higher level and wasn't able to make it into that selected admission program, that they know I'm a choice. Just because they've taken a higher level course doesn't exclude them.
Yeah, I think I definitely one of the goals, right? Maybe it's not like one of our guiding principles, but I think sort of one of the ideas is to have less of that petitioning, because a lot of students don't know they can petition, right? They see, oh, I need to take this class, so I'm going to have to go back and take this lower level class, which they'll do on their own, and then they wasted some credits they didn't need to. So
and I'm usually pretty good about explaining. Yeah, go ahead.
I think maybe we can find a way to, if there's a way in curriculum-wise to like sort of make it an either or something where they know they're fine if they took the upper level and they've changed their major, they changed their idea, or they're okay if they're coming here from scratch and they know they're headed your way. I think we can figure something out, I would imagine.
Okay. Yeah, I just, because a lot of them I don't know if they've taken a higher level course, especially for the health careers, that it can be applied to something that doesn't require that high level course. And I'm usually pretty good about telling the students during orientation and information sessions that if you have come from trying to apply to another program, that it's okay that you've taken this higher level course, we can petition. So I do let them know that. But, I'm just wondering from, especially in the health careers, that all our classes are, they have to take a lot of prereqs that I don't. And it may benefit students knowing that, I've had students come to my program that have been trying to get into radiology or DMS for 3 years. And it, rather than just wasting time waiting or losing those students, it might be nice to just be able to keep them at the college, knowing that, like I know either John Cody's program, there's no prereqs, and they could be either shuffled to him or to me, and then we keep those students.
Yeah. This can also be, and sort of as we're building the website to make it easier, because along with all this is we're like building this new website to help students explore and find the right degree for them. Maybe there's ways this can be also communicated, again, through the maps as well as through the website to help students find that. Because the health sciences, we sort of had that in mind, that this is the application process and needing all these prereqs just to get into the program. And where do students go if they don't get in it? So I think, maybe this is a conversation too to like bring in a number of the health faculty, and we all sort of work together to figure out like what will make the most sense to students. But Nelly, is there anything particular you remember like about this, or?
Yeah, so I think in the process of breaking down the AASs as well as the certificates, one of the reasons why we added the prerequisites in there is because we did see some like discretions that should be discussed. Like were times where a course might be listed as a prerequisite, but in reality it's a co-requisite. So those are just simple catalog errors that we can change or request to change because the verbiage may be confusing to students. But in terms of prerequisites, there were a handful of programs also that had, you know, a listed prerequisite, but it was nowhere listed as a course that students need to take. So those were errors that were highlighted in yellow. I can't remember if your program had that in particular. But again, like Sheldon said, this is a perfect time to clarify things for students. So if you're saying that students might have more than one option to get into the program, let's clarify it in the map. You know, let's put it in writing so that students know that it might not be what is listed, but maybe they have more options. And I think some of them are very detailed and some of them are not. So it's up to you. I think this is a really good opportunity to do that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then, you know, I do have, I guess, I was looking at the map. I'm looking at it now. And I guess I might be just confused. Like, do I just freehand what I'm supposed to write in? Or if there's other courses that could be substituted? Is that what I'm filling in for on this map? I guess the actual what I'm filling out on this map is confusing to me.
So along with the email that map came from, there's a link to a survey, and that's sort of where you can fill out like any questions you have, any changes you might think we need, that kind of stuff. And we can either do it digitally that way, or if it sounds like there's some bigger questions here too, we'll schedule a meeting and meet with you and like sort of figure that out. So the map is to guide, you know, that's where we can start that discussion from. But yeah, if you can fill out the survey we sent out.
Okay, I'll fill that out. All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The website looks awesome. Oh, I watched the video. The new website for the students looks awesome with the programs of study rather than academics. It really looks great. You guys have done some great work.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.